You've mentioned Diego a couple times in post games and during this preseason. Was there something that was going on that made it so he wasn't fit, or is he just working through fitness?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think he had I think
No
that
injury or something?
yeah, I mean he was dealing with a little bit of a bug. He wasn't getting he didn't have the best run up into this preseason. That's for sure. And so again, if we're going to be successful as a group, Diego Luna has to be our guy, right? Morgan has to be our guy. Victor has to be our guy. Gozo has to be our guy if we're going to score goals. And so I still think Luna's a good 3 or 4 weeks away from being max match fit the way that we expect him to play. I think Victor's the same way. I think he's 3 or 4 weeks away. I think Vogi's 2 or 3 weeks away. And again, Gozo is a 90-minute player. And so, I think that's going to be the biggest struggle for our group in our attacking group because the quality, there's no doubt we have it. However, the quality isn't good enough. You have to be able to run. You have to be able to have more than one dynamic action to break teams down. And so I think that was our biggest struggle today. It wasn't, it was for much as the guys were in the good spots, it's when, okay, you're in a good spot, now what? And that's when you got to see dynamic action. So again, I think this game just shows that where we're at from a physical perspective, a fitness perspective, and we got to improve that one more than that area more than anything else. And I think once we do that, we have more than enough quality on this team to be uh, you know, a, a real threat in the Western Conference.
Then a question about some players. Ruiz came out at 22nd minute. Is that the precaution or was that planned? I
No,
know.
he pulled himself out because he said he felt his calf go. So I haven't met with the medical department yet. But when a player does that, chances are it's not going to be a short-term thing. So he basically ran off the field, and that's what we had to make a quick sub.
And how's the Mecca coming along? You figured that out yet? What's
I think he's going to be in my estimates. Talking to the medical staff, he's a good 6 weeks away. And so again, I think that's the biggest, like I said earlier, in all my the availability and the fitness of our players will be the biggest question mark going into the season. And when, Emeka's making progress, but he's not even running yet, right? And so now you think about we'll have completed a 6 week preseason. And for me, it's the most important time of the year. It's the most. It's where you gain concepts, it's where you build your base fitness, it's where you build relationships. And so in the situation that we're currently in, Emeka's probably, that's why I say 6 weeks away. He's not even running yet, but his knee is feeling better, and that's a positive. But when we're talking about competing in the early stages of the season, I don't anticipate he'll be involved.
last question from me? Where are you most comfortable at? Is the front line uh, closer to where it needs to be, the midfield, the defense? I mean, we know Cabral is probably rock solid, but where are you most comfortable?
Yeah, I think really if you're asking me which phase, I'd say the defensive phase. I feel like we're in a great way with that. And the biggest thing that always takes the longest, Brand, is always the attacking. And again, it's not so much because um, the quality isn't there. We have the quality, but now it's also with that quality, how do they get to build relationships with each other? I think when you go back to 2024 and the relationship that Chicho had with Andreas, that was special. I think what I saw today was the relationship that Gozo had with Morgan was special. Like there's some really good understanding, and I think teams will really be really queuing defensively on our right side, given the speed, the pace, and the quality that we have on that side. So now it's really about how do we activate the weak side to be just as dominant. And again, I think we need a little bit more from the wingback position to be a threat. And I think it'll all come together. I think the biggest issue we're up against is time, right? Because we need a lot of guys available. We need fitness from a lot of guys, and we're a little up against it. But I have no doubt that we have the caliber of player that can be a real threat in the Western Conference once those things sync up.
Thank you.